biggest football tournament in human history is getting closer with every passing day. And inside training grounds across Europe right now, coaches are obsessing over the same footage again and again. They pause it, rewind it, argue over every movement, every pass, every press. Because while the world sees Argentina as defending champions, managers see something far more dangerous. A team that already knows how to survive the biggest pressure football can create. And that is exactly what makes them terrifying. Every federation on the planet has spent 4 years preparing to face the reigning world champions, who have not been beaten in any way that truly matters since 2022. Everyone is pretending they have a plan. And now, the moment is getting closer when the world will finally see whether any of those plans can actually survive against Argentina under the biggest pressure imaginable. Spain has rebuilt under Luis de la Fuente, riding the European Championship trophy into a generation that believes it has fixed everything tiki-taka left broken. France has Kylian Mbappé in his prime, and a midfield engine room that looks cruel on paper. England keeps insisting this is the year the punchline turns into a coronation under Thomas Tuchel. Brazil handed Carlo Ancelotti the keys to a seleção lost since 2002. Germany is rebuilding. Portugal is squeezing the last drops out of Cristiano Ronaldo. The Netherlands believes Cody Gakpo and Xavi Simons can finally rewrite the ending. Everybody has a plan, and everybody has a backup plan for the plan, and somewhere underneath all of that careful European preparation. Because 8 years ago, a man with no trophies and almost no proper coaching career was handed Argentina almost as an apology from a federation that had run out of options. What Lionel Scaloni has built since then has bent the entire sport into a shape the rest of the world is quietly terrified to face one more time. There is a number that has been sitting inside football conversations for 2 years now, and most analysts refuse to say it out loud because saying it out loud forces them to accept what is happening underneath the surface of the international game. 94 matches under Scaloni, 67 of them won, and only 9 of them lost across more than half a decade of competitive football. That is not the record of a national team that meets twice a year inside airport hotels and trains for 2 days before a friendly. That is the record of a club side that has somehow disguised itself as a country. You begin to understand why they are different when you look inside the dressing room itself. Pablo Aimar speaks to the players the way an older brother speaks during a long car ride home. Walter Samuel handles them the way a father handles his sons before a long journey overseas. Roberto Ayala teaches the way a coach teaches when he has already survived every storm the next generation has not yet faced for themselves. The Argentine dressing room is not a tactics meeting that occasionally feels human. It is a family dinner that occasionally wins trophies on the side. You can scout passes and pressing triggers across hours of video, but you cannot scout a brotherhood. And the brotherhood you are watching today was not built inside a tactics room. It was built inside a wound that the rest of football has almost forgotten existed. That wound opened inside the Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro during the 2014 World Cup final. Germany won the match in extra time, and the cameras lingered on a younger Lionel Messi as he walked past the trophy like a man passing his own funeral on the way out of the stadium. A year later, another final arrived in Chile, and Argentina lost the Copa América on penalties. A year after that, the Copa América Centenario was held in the United States, and Argentina lost on penalties again. Something inside Messi snapped on live television that night in New Jersey. He stood at the press microphone, hollow-eyed and trembling, and announced that he was finished with the national team forever. What outsiders forget is how deeply Argentina absorbed that night as a country in real time. Restaurants stopped serving food during the press conference broadcast. Mothers cried inside supermarkets in front of strangers. Newspapers printed black borders the way they used to do during periods of actual national mourning. A whole country was grieving a man who was still alive, still healthy, and still the best on earth. Russia 2018 made everything worse. France ran straight through Argentina inside the round of 16, and many people decided that very night that the Messi national team chapter was finished forever. It is easy now to call that night an ending. It was not an ending. It was preparation in disguise that nobody outside that dressing room understood at the time. Everything you see from this Argentina team today was built carefully on top of those 4 consecutive collapses across 4 consecutive summers. The rebirth came in slow waves rather than one explosion. Copa América at the Maracanã in 2021 against Brazil on the exact same ground where the wound first opened 7 years earlier. 28 years of silverware famine ended inside 90 minutes of football. Then, at Wembley, came the Finalissima, where Italy was dismantled 3-0. Then, in Lusail, France refused to die in the World Cup final, and Mbappé scored 3 goals in the final, and somehow still lost the trophy. Then, Copa América again in 2024, and Lautaro Martinez ended Colombia in extra time, giving Argentina back-to-back continental titles under a single coach for the first time in their history. The slow 10-year process of a country and a player learning how to lose together had finally made losing lose its grip on both of them. Once that grip broke, something else began happening behind the scenes that the rest of the football world has not properly noticed yet. Most national teams have to choose between riding the old veterans until they collapse on the pitch, or tearing the squad up and losing 4 years, rebuilding from scratch. Argentina is doing neither of those things because Argentina is doing both of them at the same time. Angel Di Maria already walked away after the Copa América and went home to Rosario Central. Franco Armani stepped away from the squad. Papu Gomez disappeared after a doping ban nobody saw coming. Juan Foyth ruptured his Achilles tendon in January. Paulo Dybala has missed 26 matches in 2 seasons due to recurring injuries. 6 players who lifted the trophy in Lusail will not be on the plane to North America in the summer. Nico Paz at Como has 12 goals and 7 assists already inside Serie A, scoring against Inter, Milan, Juventus, and Lazio. Real Madrid holds a buyback clause that they are about to trigger any week now. His father, Pablo Paz, played alongside Javier Zanetti for Argentina in the 1990s. Talent runs through that bloodline like a river that knew where it was going before the boy was even born. Then there is Franco Mastantuono, 17 years old, the youngest player ever to wear the senior shirt inside an official match. Real Madrid paid 45 million euros for him in the summer of 2025. At his unveiling, in front of cameras and lights and a club bigger than any teenager should ever have to face alone, he promised that he would leave his life on the pitch for that shirt. Other countries have a generation that comes and then fades. Argentina has a continuum that simply refuses to end. And there is a quiet conversation happening inside football right now that nobody really wants to start, because starting it forces people to admit something they thought they would never have to admit one more time. Lionel Messi is still the best player on the planet at 38 years old. 29 goals in the regular MLS season, 19 assists, and the Golden Boot. An MLS Cup lifted in December against Vancouver, with Rodrigo de Paul scoring the decisive goal off a Messi pass nobody else on the pitch saw coming until it had already arrived. Most valuable player back-to-back across 2 seasons. Then 900 career goals, making him the second player ever after Cristiano Ronaldo to reach that milestone in the history of the sport. He has rearranged what football cost his body. He no longer runs the way he ran at 24 years old. He thinks the runs now instead of physically making them. He freezes opposition fullbacks by simply standing still inside spaces nobody else on the pitch can read. The legs got older, the mind got faster. Scaloni uses him in a way that is its own quiet masterpiece of management. De Paul covers his defensive shadow on the right side. Alexis McAllister bends the press around him on the left. Enzo Fernandez pushes the ball through the central channels until Messi only has to take 3 steps to receive it inside dangerous territory. In late 2025, he refused to confirm his participation in the World Cup. That single sentence sent Argentina into a small national panic the international media did not fully report at the time. Then he walked into a friendly against Zambia at La Bombonera, scored a goal, set up another, and quietly made his decision visible to everyone without ever saying it out loud in a press conference. Then, the friendly against Mauritania at La Bombonera on the 27th of March was supposed to be routine on every level. Argentina won 2-1. Emiliano Martinez walked into the press room afterwards and called it one of the worst friendlies the team had played in years. Scaloni, a manager who almost never criticizes his own team in public for any reason, quietly agreed with his goalkeeper. He knows confident teams do not collapse from external pressure. They collapse from the small internal assumption that they have already won the thing they have not yet won. Cristian Romero picked up an ankle scare in April that nobody can fully explain yet. Lisandro Martinez has battled 2 setbacks this season after returning from a cruciate ligament rupture. The planned Finalissima against Spain was cancelled before it could be played. Then there is the curse nobody in the camp will say out loud in any press conference. No nation has won back-to-back World Cups since Brazil in 1962. France was out in the group stage in 2002, Italy out in 2010, Spain out in 2014, Germany out in 2018. France lost the final in 2022 to Argentina. The pattern is so consistent across 64 years that it has stopped feeling like a coincidence and started feeling like an actual law of the sport. The world champions are coming. They are limping into the spotlight in some areas and sprinting through it in others. Tell us in the comments which version of Argentina you believe will actually walk onto that pitch in Kansas City this summer.